We often wonder why we freeze right before a breakthrough. But structurally, your brain is making a calculated trade. It is choosing the predictable misery of an unfulfilled life over the terrifying responsibility of a successful one. Because if you succeed, you lose your ultimate shield, the excuse that you never had the chance. Think about the project you've been putting off, the conversation you haven't had, or the application you left in your drafts. Society looks at this and calls you lazy. It tells you that you lack discipline, that you need to want it more. But they are misdiagnosing you. You aren't struggling to start because you are lazy. You are struggling because your current identity, the version of you that is unlucky, struggling, or misunderstood, is comfortable. It is safe. It is a warm,
Think about the project you've been putting
room
off.
where
Society
nothing is
calls you
expected of
lazy,
you.
but they are misdiagnosing you. You are
success-
struggling because your current
success is
identity
an
is
open
safe. You
field
can never
in a
go back to
lightning
the
storm.
safety of the dark.
And deep down, you know that the moment you step out there, you can never go back to the safety of the dark. To understand why we cling so fiercely to our struggles, we have to look at the architecture of the human brain. We like to think of our minds as logical supercomputers, but they are actually survival engines designed in the Pleistocene epoch. Your brain has one primary directive: maintain homeostatic predictability. It values certainty far more than it values your happiness. This is the default mode network, or what neuroscientists call the DMN. You can think of the DMN as your brain's internal autobiography engine. It is the system responsible for constructing your sense of self. It writes the story of who you are based on your past experiences. If you have spent 5, 10, or 20 years telling yourself a story, I am the underdog, I am financially cursed, or I am chronically overlooked, your DMN has hardwired those neural pathways. It has built a massive reinforced highway for that identity. When you approach a major breakthrough, a moment that could actually change your life, you are attempting to tear down that highway. You are telling your brain that the old story is dead. But your brain doesn't celebrate this. It experiences this sudden shift as cognitive dissonance, a severe internal system error. To your nervous system, a threat to your identity is processed exactly like a threat to your physical survival. Your amygdala, your brain's neural smoke detector, sounds the alarm. It floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline. You feel a sudden, inexplicable wave of exhaustion, anxiety, or self-doubt. You tell yourself, I'm just not ready yet, or I'll start next Monday. But biologically, this is what is actually happening. Your brain is forcing you to self-sabotage, to drag you back to your familiar, miserable equilibrium. It is protecting your ego from what it perceives as a fatal disruption. You are not broken. You are just locked in a cage built by your own survival instincts.
To understand why we do this, we have to look at how we treat our pain. When you break a bone, a doctor puts it in a plaster cast. The cast is a biological necessity. It shields the broken limb from the friction of the outside world. It signals to everyone around you, I am hurt. Do not touch me. Do not expect me to carry anything heavy right now. And because you are injured, people step in. They help you. They lower their expectations. The cast is your safety.
But what happens if, after the bone heals, you refuse to take the cast off? If you keep it on for years, the muscles underneath begin to atrophy. The skin withers. The arm becomes useless. Eventually, the cast is no longer protecting your recovery. It is causing your decay. This is the emotional plaster cast. Your struggle, Whether it is your creative block, your financial instability, or your chronic anxiety, initially served a purpose. It protected you from having to face the terrifying possibility of trying your hardest and still failing. It became a social currency. When you're struggling, you get to ask for sympathy. You get a lifetime pass from having to show up at your full capacity. But now, you are standing on the edge of success. The universe is handing you the shears, telling you it is time to cut the cast off. And you are terrified. Because without that cast, you have no excuses left. If you fail now, everyone will see it. If you succeed now, you will have to carry the heavy weight of responsibility. You will have to perform day after day without the shield of your victimhood. We cling to the cast not because we love being broken, but because we are terrified of how weak our real legs actually are when we stand up. If you are watching this and realizing that you have been protecting your own cage, do not despair. This realization is not a condemnation. It is your liberation. Your fear of success is actually a beautiful piece of biological data. Think about it. Your brain only sounds the alarm when you are approaching the boundary of your current identity. If you were truly content with mediocrity, you wouldn't feel this internal friction. The very fact that your nervous system is panicking means you are standing right at the edge of your next evolution. Your self-sabotage is not a sign that you are weak. It is proof of your immense potential energy. It is your brain's way of acknowledging that the step you are about to take is massive. The panic you feel is not a red light telling you to stop. It is a green light disguised as a warning siren. It is telling you we are about to leave the territory of who we were. We are about to outgrow the story we wrote to survive. You do not need to cure this fear. You do not need to wait for the anxiety to disappear before you act. You simply need to recognize the alarm for what it is. The sound of your old self dying so that the person you are meant to become can finally take their first breath. So, how do we cut off the cast? If you try to change your entire life overnight, your default mode network will treat it as a hostile takeover. Your amygdala will sound the alarm, and you will retreat right back into your safe, familiar struggle. We do not need a massive leap of willpower. We need a microscopic act of cognitive defiance. Tonight, I want you to perform a 5-word identity audit. It requires 0 willpower, and it takes exactly 2 minutes. Take a piece of paper and write down this prompt. If I succeed at insert your goal, I will no longer have the excuse of being, and then fill in the blank with absolute brutal honesty. Are you afraid of losing the excuse of being too busy? The excuse of being misunderstood? The excuse of being unlucky? By writing this down, you are doing something extraordinary in your brain. You are taking the subconscious fear, which has been running in the background of your mind like a hidden battery-draining app, and dragging it into your prefrontal cortex, the analytical center of your brain. The moment you name the excuse you are terrified of losing, the illusion breaks. The amygdala loses its grip. You will look at that paper and realize, I am not lazy. I was just hiding. You don't have to run into the open field tomorrow. You just have to unlock the door of your cell. Take off the cast. Your legs are stronger than you think.